game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. Eating Buck.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by Lead Goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Hey, howdy ho. Welcome in to the Buccateers. Tampa Tones here. Should be joined by Huncho here momentarily on this beautiful Tune Me Up Tuesday episode of the Buccateers. It's 3-2 Tuesday. We're going to look past this past weekend, and we're going to look forward to this next one. Put that game in the rearview mirror, chalk it up as a tough loss. I really do think the Bucs played better than the scoreboard indicated. A couple big flaws we'll get into in today's show. Obviously, the run game is a concern, but who would you put most of the blame on in that run game? Would it be the offensive line? Would it be the running backs? Would it be offensive coordinator Dave Canales himself? Or would it be the general manager for shaping up a lighter running back room? We're going to get into that topic of debate and so much more because I'm hearing O-line play calling, running backs at fault, the GM's at fault. I'm hearing a bunch of stuff. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into what went wrong. Then we're going to turn the page into the Falcons game. I'm actually heading there Friday. I'm flying out Friday as Huncho's joining us. And speaking of joining us, we're going to get him figured out, situated. Then Huncho will be joining us. But Hunch and I will be going to the Bucs game together Sunday for Falcons Bucs. Huncho, myself, Emad, and Steppin' Peppin, our favorite Canadian, will be at the game. We're definitely going to meet up with him. Donnie, add us on Facebook or get a hold of us in Facebook. We're going to be tailgating with one of our other buddies, Real Bucs Talk, Michael Pless, Dr. Pless, and the rest of those guys Huncho and I will be tailgating with. So we hope to see you either outside or inside at the stadium. Steppin' Peppin. We got Tyler saying he's got to meet up. We got a lot of people to meet up with, it seems, so that's a cool thing. Peppin Steppin's going to What the Buck tailgate. I don't blame you there. That'll be a fun one. We'll meet up inside the stadium then, brother. I'm sorry, I don't miss my man Jay's tailgate. They got some good stuff going on there. Sharpo, though, Tyler Sharp, my man, fellow game used memorabilia collector, says he's got to meet before the game. Absolutely. You have my Facebook. You have my number and stuff. Speaking of Facebook and number, I know this man certainly has it. Huncho, I thought you were missing or something. I was going to have to put out a alert for you soon to see if anyone saw you or something. How you doing, brother? Hopefully you're a little bit better than Friday when I last talked to you.
Oh, yeah. I'm doing much better now. I'm good. I'm feeling much better now. You know, trying to get better.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what happened? Lovie Smith put you under a spell or something?
No, I think I felt the Lions game and I think I had the creamsicle flu and felt like already knew what was coming.
You had the Dan Campbells. You had the case of the cries. You should see all these Lions fans commenting on.
Like, where were y'all at? Like, I didn't even know they had like fans on Twitter like that. That's crazy.
They're commenting on our YouTube as well, Hunch. If you go to the Buccateers and if you go to our...
Wow, are you serious?
Yeah, they're watching our Lions Bucs previews and they're
But you got to understand, they've been butthurt for years because, we've been beating them for so long. Even back in the day when we was in a division, like we owned the Lions. And, it's just like they finally got a lick and, they don't know how to act. But it is what it is. I'm not worried about a Lions fan. Like
That's why we're on to the Falcons. We're on to the Falcons.
Yeah. Y'all, like, I can go on about how many things went wrong in our favor. So why we didn't win the game, like, oh my God, like Baker Mayfield, if he was just like probably a foot taller, like, bro, it if he had a foot or
Well,
two.
the thing is with Baker, right? You either have to hit your deep throws or you can't get the ball batted. And I think he's still having a good year. I'm not turning on him at all. I love Baker and I love going to battle with Baker. But if you're going to be a successful quarterback in this league, you either got to hit your deep throws or you can't get the ball batted. And the other aspect is this: he has to throw to Godwin more. Godwin is a better receiver right now than Mike Evans. Evans drops way too many passes, and I love Mike. I want him to be a Buck for life, and I want him here. But Hunch, I don't know if you're getting a little tired of it, but these easy drops have to stop. They have to stop. You don't see Godwin dropping passes like that. You don't look around and see Tyreek Hill dropping passes like that. You don't look around and see Cooper Kupp dropping passes like that. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's the man. But if he wants to make anywhere near that $28 million a year, you got to catch those, Mike. You have to. That's the bottom line, period.
Yeah, most definitely, man. It's been very disappointing. And the thing about what's up, Cats? And the most thing, same old same. But the most disappointing thing about Mike, every time he starts with the drops, it's like we lose the game. It's the same thing with the Eagles, and I mean, it's just like low key. It was last year he was doing something similar like that. Him and Brady couldn't get on the same page, and he had some key drops there too. But just looking at it, it's like, man, it hurts us. Like on that third and what it was like 12 or 15, it's right there in the numbers, man. You catch that changed the momentum, and gets us in the flow, and we continue to drive. But that punt just killed it. Like it just killed our little momentum. And even though the defense stopped him, I expect more from Mike, especially if you want to be paid like a top-notch guy. And out of all the years, your agent comes out and does that and try to put the pressure on the Glazers and the Bucs organization to sign you to a long-term deal, and you start performing like that, it kind of makes the Glazers look a little like, okay, they did the right thing. And Mike, I mean, I love the man to death, and that's my favorite Buc player, So it's no shade against him, but man, if you gotta step up, man. When big moments come, you can't just get missing and disappear. That's what you're here for, and we're gonna need the Mike Evans to step up. If he's not making those type of plays, then we're not the same Tampa Bay offense at all. We won't be, regardless if we're throwing to Chris Godwin a million times. We're gonna need Mike Evans because he's gonna be the number 2 person that we throwing the ball to. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to still need to make those plays. And I don't know what's happening, but I just hope he's been at the jug machine since Sunday's game.
Yeah, and we'll get Katz's thoughts here in a minute. And, we're all going to beat the same drum here. Don't get us twisted. We love Mike, but it's just frustrating when a man demands so much money and then, his performance, you drop those easy passes. And it'd be different if it was a one-off this past game, but I remember a couple of times this season alone. And then Hunch made a good point you added last year, like against Carolina, when he drops that deep pass. It puts the offense in sort of a funk when you're not really making the plays that you're supposed to make. Like Godwin makes all the catches he should make, right? You never look at Chris Godwin and go, damn, did he just drop that? If anything, what hinders Godwin in his career is he fights for so many yards that sometimes that's where his mistake comes in and they punch the ball out then. But totally different story. The only time Godwin ever had a mini case of the dropsies was in the playoffs the year we won the Super Bowl. Then he fixed him immediately. He just immediately fixed him. So this has kind of been a consistent problem with Evans over the years. For as great as he makes the hard catches look, what makes a great wide receiver earn all that money is making the plays you should make. Cats, correct us if we're wrong, and I'm not saying don't bring Mike back or don't pay him handsome money around 20 to 22 million a year, but when you're dropping passes like that, it's really hard to make a case to be paid as much as the Tyreek Hills of the world. I know he's done a lot, but this is a league where it's what are you going to do for me in the future, not what have you done for me in the past.
Yeah, it was disappointing, and he has had some issues. Now, I don't know. I don't watch other teams very much, so I'll see some occasionally. So what his drop rate is as compared to other top-notch receivers. But unfortunately, just looking at this game alone, if you're going to win against any team really, especially against a great team, which the Lions are, you need your best players to be your best players, or you need someone to step up in their place if they're not available. And yeah, those, most games are decided on 5 or 6 plays, I think is what Tony Dungy said. And you look right away, at that particular drop you're referring to on the third and long, which would have continued the drive, gotten us into plus territory. I think it was was it 10-3 at that point? I don't remember what the score was. It might have been 3-0, might have been 3, whatever it was. It was a very tight game when that particular one happened. He got called for OPI, questionable call on that too. Unfortunately, he developed a reputation earlier in his career as being pretty handsy, which a lot of receivers are nowadays. And he's not as much anymore as he was. He has corrected that, but once you get that reputation, unfortunately, officials are looking. Teams are going to say, watch number 13. He uses his hands a lot to get open. He pushes off. So that kind of came back to bite him there. And yeah, those 2 plays right there are huge plays in the game, obviously. And yeah, the Bucs need him to be better. They need him to be one of their 2 best receivers, along with Chris, at his best. They need Mike Evans at his best if they're going to win football games, especially football games against great teams. And he was not at his best in this particular game by any means.
Yeah, Katz, I think you make a really good point there by saying another very true thing where, 6 plays just about make or break a game. And, that's a great one from Dungy or wherever you got that from. But that holds true. You could really think back at this game and pinpoint those exact plays, almost all 6 of them. One of them, Evans drop. One of them, Baker getting the ball batted where he had Evans open. Baker missing Trey Palmer twice. Ryan Neal not being able to jar that ball out of Jamison Williams' hands. And then Ryan Neal taking a terrible angle on the Amon-Ra St. Brown catch on the 3rd and long where Neal just folded like a cheap suit, cut inside. And Amon-Ra St. Brown ended up scoring a touchdown on that. So am I wrong in saying those are the 6 plays that probably dictated this one?
No, that's exactly it. That's what I was thinking. And like I said, you can throw in the OPI on Evans on that play. Now, I don't know what happened. What happened on the ensuing? By the way, what happened? Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Here's a question for you, just now that it came to my mind. Because on the ensuing play, that a 3rd and 11, there was a flag thrown and then picked up. Did we ever get an explanation on why that flag was picked up and what they were going to call it to begin with? I don't think so, right?
We didn't get an
just
explanation
fall out of the ref's pocket.
And we got 2 picked up flags. See, there was that one and one more. But yeah, you're right.
Well, it just makes me wonder if they were going to originally call something against the Lions and then didn't. In any case, though, yeah, I mean, those were the 6 plays that you identified. And even after all that, the bad defensive plays, they had a hard time getting off the field on 3rd down. You held a great offense to 20 points. So defensively, you didn't get any turnovers, but you committed one, and your defense did an incredible job on the sudden change there, backed up against their own end zone. So they, ultimately the defense, I give them a B only in this game, only because they couldn't get off the field on 3rd down and they couldn't create a turnover. But they gave you a chance to win. You had a lot of looks on offense, opportunity for points, for big plays, and you didn't make them. And that falls on, Baker and Mike Evans mostly. And the offense, we can talk about, and a lot of people will talk about the play calling, and that's always going to happen when you score only 6 points or you lose a game. But there was a lot of plays out there, man, that could have been made that we just talked about that would have put at least 14 more points on the board and didn't happen. And you can't blame the OC for that when he's got the guy open. He obviously schemed up a good play, and the play has to be made, and you're not going to beat. You might get away with that against the Bears. You'll get away with it against the Saints even, maybe, missing out on some of these plays, although the Bucs executed very well offensively in those games, granted against one lesser defense and one pretty good defense. But yeah, against the Lions, your margin for error is so thin against a great team that, frankly, like I think I said last week, they're a more talented team than us. So their roster, I know they had some injuries. They're still a more talented team. So if you're going to beat the Lions and the Eagles of the world, you can't miss on whatever 6 plays we just identified. You can't lose those six particular plays. You got to at least have 3 of those made your way. And then you give yourself you probably come down to a late field goal. Who knows?
Yeah, and I agree with you completely, Katz, and a couple of things before we get Hunch's opinion, and then turn the page, right? We're going to talk about the battle for the South because, as you keep alluding to, Katz, we're early on in the year, and it seems like people are jumping off the ship. We're still 3-2. We're still in first place of the NFC South, and yeah, I get all those fans that say they want to be realistic and they know we can't beat the big teams, but what's the point in just being so down that, you know what I'm saying? What's even the point in watching that? And if that's your mentality, if you truly believe, we can't really go anywhere, we'll never beat the big team, then just stop watching the season now, because later in the year, we're going to go into the playoffs, and I'm confident we'll make the playoffs, and we're going to face, quote unquote, one of these big teams in round one. And then you're going to have those negative Nancy's really just say, if we lose, they'll be like, oh, I told you so, we could never beat the big one. And then if we win, they're going to say, they didn't play that good of a game, and they're going to keep doubting us. It reminds me a lot in 2020, not saying obviously we're going to make a run to the Super Bowl, but remember that year, people who doubted Brady kept doubting him and giving excuses and doubting him. And even when we won the Super Bowl, Jameis could have won it with this team. It's like some of our fan base, you literally can't knock the stupid out of him. And I don't think, they're trying to be quote unquote realist. I think they're trying to be quote unquote trolls more so, or, just negative Nancy's. And Hunch, we'll get your opinion here first, then we'll get Katz's. But what say you on the state of the Bucs after this loss, and all the backlash on X, Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it? Some of it's warranted, but some of it is just flat outright pitiful. And it hurts me to say, but I don't even want to stand shoulder to shoulder with some of these fans.
Man, listen. I'm gonna tell you like this. Even with this Lions game, if you seen this game, how the Lions did not dominate us. Let's just get that clear. It wasn't a dominant game. We didn't look like we couldn't hang with them. We looked like we couldn't. I'm gonna just say execute. We couldn't execute a damn thing on offense. We couldn't execute, and that's not because the Lions didn't allow us to. It's just simply missed throws, tip balls. Everything was just going not our way. As far as the one bad spot that I can actually say, well, I know where we got whooped at, and that's Ryan Neal. And I literally, you could see on every damn play, he was just out of position. He just couldn't make a play. He was playing like a damn rookie. Like, you didn't turn your head around. And
pitiful. I mean, when you could, before the play happens, when you say Ryan Neal's going to do something, it's bad.
Yeah, and I've been saying this since preseason, man. If you could rewind those shows back and go back, I've been saying
this. Still up on the internet.
I've been saying this. This guy here has yet to show me anything. I've been saying this since the day I seen him on the field. All I seen was a guy that's flying around but not making any damn plays. He's flying around. You see him flying around, but he's not making the plays. And I feel like, it's like Jordan Whitehead. We see him over there making interceptions and balling, and it's like this guy here is not true. And that's how I feel, Jeremy D. Delaney. Like, at least give him the time. And Todd, I feel like, I know you have your players that you for certain positions, just like they see D. Delaney as a Robert Hainsey, if you may think of it. Robert Hainsey was never supposed to be our starting center. He was supposed to be a rotational guy. Exactly. You get what I'm saying? So he was thrust into that position. He was supposed to be a rotational guy for the rest of the offensive line. But granted, the situation he had, I think that's kind of how they see D. Delaney. Like, he's not a starter. But at the rate how Ryan Neal's playing, what the hell do you have to lose at this point? Because he's getting beat. He's not making plays. It's like he's out of touch. When he's on the field, I just feel so bad, and he's not making tackles. It's just sad, and I just feel like if Baker would have made some of those deep shots, like you get the momentum going, and you get Trey Palmer, it can mess up. Now the defense has to account for the deep shot. They got to account for that. So now they'll start playing defense a little differently, and now you can get some of the shorter up close stuff because they're scared of the big shot and trying to contain Trey Palmer, so he wasn't making explosive plays. But I don't understand. The connection hasn't been there, honestly, with Baker. And I mean, I don't have a problem. He had one bad game. It's this bad, but if you look at the connection wise, like it hasn't been there all year. When you can say when he throws the ball in the air deep, he's going to connect with any one of your wide receivers. I haven't seen it. It's been underthrows. It's been overthrows. Haven't looked crisp. And it's sad to say, but I don't know. I hope he can fix it. He said he played he sucked, and he knows it, but. Yeah, we heard that with Jameis, and you see what happened. He blamed himself, and then we got the same performance next week. So, I mean, hopefully that's not the case with Mayfield, and he can start connecting with these receivers because it's going to take accuracy. It's going to take accuracy.
Well, and half the problem is, I mean, as much as I want to pile on Baker, too, for his bad performance, it's really hard to play quarterback when you have no run game. You have zero run game.
Yeah.
These defenses are going to start creeping up on you. They're going to start, making plays and adjustments that hampers a quarterback. And right, wrong, or indifferent, Baker did play like shit. But I can't really truly put my fork in Baker and say, this is all on him. Because maybe, just maybe, if we had any resemblance of a run game, maybe there'd be even more opportunities for him to throw. And he did miss some throws. Absolutely. Not saying he didn't. He got a lot of balls batted. He didn't play good at all, but I'd put the run game at a little more of a blame than Baker at the end of the day, at least on myself.
Yeah. But most definitely. The run game has not been there. So that's why we need you to make those deep shots. That's why we need you to be that clutch performer. And this, while we know we're stalling with the run game, I need you to at least do your job. So if your job consists on you to hit those guys that's open, like those plays kind of changed the game. Even it was one to Chris Godwin also when he was kind of rushed and he had to kind of throw it a little fast.
Towards the end of the game. That was towards the end of the game.
It was just like a mess all around. And then Mike Evans' drop's not making it any better. And then I don't understand why we're going to Tompkins as much as instead of Chris Godwin's as much, but it's a lot of things that has to get figured out. The run game is top priority, definitely in that. I'm just so thankful. Just imagine this, Tones. If you didn't have Tristan Wirfs and Luke Goedeke as your tackles, what would we really be looking at right now from Baker Mayfield? I mean, nothing against him, but I'm just saying it would be a real shit show right now with those tackles. Goedeke exceeded expectations, and I just see the rest of the team. I mean, the offensive line is doing enough, but on the run game is horrible. So I just hope Dave Canales can figure it out and put it together. But just to finish that question off, I don't feel like the Lions dominated us. Yeah, they just had some things that went their way, even with the St. Brown big run, and when Carlton Davis looked like he was about to get obliterated from that corner or whoever came up. Even on that play there, everything went. It's just like everything that wrong could happen. Like, how is that? That's a stop. That's a fourth down. You get the kick. They get 3 points maybe. This guy gets blocked. And then they score a touchdown. Like, it was just.
Well, that play was on Ryan Neal, though.
Yeah, most definitely. But the cleanup.
Well, a few guys on that one. Few guys were involved on taking some angles and letting the receiver who the former Ram was known to be great blocking. Not St. Brown, no. The one who got the block was Reynolds, who.
Oh yeah, right.
He killed us too.
Well, Reynolds was known with the Rams, and the Rams, that whole scheme was known as being one of the better ones in terms of blocking receivers. And you saw that from Reynolds. He blocked, I believe, I don't know if it was Devin White or Neal or both. He got one of them on that play, and that allowed St. Brown to make a couple moves after the catch, and get a touchdown ultimately. Correct, though. This was not the optimist's point of view from this. Is if you look at this and you compare it to the Eagles game, also phenomenal opponent. I know they took a loss this week, and all the three top ones in the NFC all have losses now. I thought it was a better performance than that. That game, the Bucs were in that game, and even in that game, there were a couple plays, or if you made it, like if Devin White runs the pick six back, maybe they win. But I didn't feel that the Bucs were really. I think they were dominated in that game. We'll call a spade a spade. That game they were dominated in. Eagles ran the ball as much as they wanted. They were able to keep the score close for a while. eventually it did get out of hand. This one never really got out of hand. It was eventually you got to 20-6, but the Bucs were able to keep this one. This was very much a game into the fourth quarter, and that's why, you hope that you're fortunate enough to have another game where you have that many looks. And that's why I do think Dave Canales is a good offensive coordinator. I think he has a plan. It did not work in this game. Some of that's on him. Some of that's on the execution, though. I still think it's a far cry from what Leftwich was doing, even though they're still not running the football. They're still running on first down more than I'd like. Yes. And again, let me just circle a few things. Now, as far as the negative people, let me go to that. I mean, if someone believed before the season that this was going to be a team in the running for the number one overall pick, and they're now complaining that they're 3-2 and not 4-1 or 5-0 or whatever, they probably should not be complaining because they're already. I mean, they could lose the rest of their games, but they're probably not going to. If you look at how they played as a team, how good they've been defensively, how well the offensive line has pass blocked as well. Baker's done some good things. So again, they're going to need to, hopefully against Atlanta, hopefully they're able to get those looks again on offense. And, but yeah, I mean, I don't get that. I mean, talking about, well, they're not going to beat this team, they're not going to beat that team. Again, most games come down to six or 7 or 8 plays. And even against a superior opponent, you still probably are going to come down to that. So, they'll have their chances. You got to go out there this week and beat an Atlanta team that's a tough. They're very good defensively. The Bucs are very good at stopping the run. Their pass game doesn't exactly scare you. I mean, they've got some good weapons. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, if you shouldn't be afraid of Desmond Ridder in that offense,
right?
But I mean, you're not gonna, you're going to have to execute better offensively yourself and not end up with 6 points on the board. That's not, and they know that. I mean, they said that. But yeah, I don't get the negativity because you win this game, you're 4-2. I mean, you're not only number one in the division, but you've got tiebreakers over two opponents that are closest to you, and you have a team that's 0 whatever at the bottom there, and you haven't even faced them yet. So just because, if the whole mentality for people is going to be, well, we're not as good as the Lions, we're nowhere near the Lions, the Eagles, the 49ers, and Dallas, you're going to throw a fourth team in there, and Buffalo, who you are going to see in 2 weeks, which is a similar test, again, to, they might not be as good as, I still think they're actually as good as the top teams in the NFC. They haven't shown it yet, and they have some injuries. So that'll be an interesting test when we get to it. But of course, first things first, the most important games, even though Atlanta's not as good a team as Detroit, are the division games. Those are the games that count for 2. They count double. They're the must games. I try to avoid that cliche, but there are 6 must-win games in a season, and you could argue, and this would be one of them. Because what would Atlanta be if they lose 3-4? Right, we'd be 4-2.
3-4,
and the Saints are 3. Yeah, and the Saints at best would be 4-3. And we would be 4-2, and they would lose a tiebreaker to us, and they still haven't had a bye. So, and I don't even know if they'll win because they got Jacksonville who's playing some good football now too. So I don't get the over negativity from people because I don't know what their expectations were. I mean, if they expected this to be the same team as even last year, you could say they definitely underperformed the expectations. But if they expected this to look like 2020 and 2021, well, then they should not have watched from the beginning because that's just not realistic in my mind.
Facts. You're right.
I agree completely. And a couple of things there to go over. A couple of things both of you guys said. Ryan Neal, I did see something where people were blaming his splits. Was he out of place? Yada, yada, yada. Well, if he's out of place, then take him out of the damn game on plays where he's not playing in his position. So then that's on Bowles or the defensive coordinators to readjust to that. So I don't want to hear excuses for that. One way or another, it's ridiculous, and something has to change. And Katz, I agree with you. It's kind of nice for the Bucs to have these division games after these losses because they do feel like a big bounce back if you win them then, right? Like the Saints, you don't even remember the Eagles loss. If we beat the Falcons, we're barely going to remember the Lions loss. And at the end of the day, I don't care who we beat. I don't care who we lose to. If you're 4-2, and if you sit at the top of your division, you're a pretty dang good football team. I know you might not be a great team, but you're a pretty dang good team. And the Bucs last year, never really looked as good as we did in our 3 wins this
No.
year. Besides,
Did not.
we only looked really good in one game last year, that Saints game, but we looked really good in the Saints game this year. In the second half of the Minnesota game and the second half of the Chicago games, we looked really good this year as well. This team
I
looks
thought we were okay in the first half in this last game. I didn't think we were bad. You're down 10, what was it, 10-3 at the half? You eventually got to 10-6. You're right in the game. And that's really, and Detroit, if you look at some of their other games, they've blown some teams out. They knocked Green Bay out pretty badly, if I recall right. They lost to Seattle, who's a good team. Again, that's a team that falls into the same area, I think, as we do, and a possible playoff opponent. They're a good football team. They're not on the next tier, but again, every now and then, as we know in all sports, sometimes the teams that are forecasted to win it, someone else kind of sneaks in there and shocks the world a little. And like we said, the Bucs, this was what Vegas had us at, what, 6.5? Was that the over/under on the Bucs? 6.5 wins?
Yeah, and Peter King had us at 3.
Okay, so you've played 5 games, you've got 12 games left, so you got to only win 4 of them to pass Vegas, and you got to probably win 6 of them to win your division. Maybe 7, depends on what, I think if you win 6 more and you beat New Orleans and Atlanta and all those 3 of those games, and that probably wins you the division. But yeah, last year we had a losing record and won the division. I was happy to get in. I had a bad feel. I knew it was going to happen once they got in, and right now I don't get that feeling with this team. I get the feeling that the coaching staff has a plan. There's growing pains for a young offensive coordinator, but like I always say, I feel he has a plan. He put some great tweets up, and I don't think he's just talking out his ass. He's been around a while. He's had success in his whatever roles he's had, and I think they'll continue to self-scout and get better. But yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate. What it comes down to is you get, once again, a division game after a loss against a great team, and yeah, if you're 4-2 and then you go into Buffalo that next game, whatever happens there happens. But yeah, I mean, you put yourself firmly in the driver's seat in the NFC South if you win this game, and that's got to be the focus. That's it. And I'm sure they've got a 24.
Then regardless, after Buffalo, it's nice because you get a mini bye. Obviously, you want to win that game, win back-to-back against Atlanta and them, but. Stunna, I see you're creeping in here, brother. How the hell are you, first of all? And second of all, we have a question on the screen. Lost sleep with how many third downs they completed. It was abysmal third down performance on the Bucs defense, but I do agree with Katz. They still held their own, but you can't give them an A based on their third down performance. But Stunna, what's going on with third downs? You used to be in Raymond James Stadium. They amp up the crowd. They do the big third down thing where they say it's third down. They get a player. They get some noise going. It used to intimidate the hell out of offenses. Nowadays, it's like, putting butter on bread for Jared Goff and others. It's, not really a big third down thing. Stunna, is the vibe in the stadium different on third downs, or how does that look? You are the season ticket holder, sir, so I want to get your opinion on it.
Nah, man, it's like you're going to be loud if they're successful. So if they're not successful, you're not going to hear a loud crowd. And it's hard to stop third down when they can run a square in, and we never defended the middle of the field. I mean, I can't tell you how many dig routes were wide ass open in the middle of the field. So even their touchdown, they ran a clear out. They threw a little hitch underneath. The guy crossed the whole field. 2 missed tackles, and then he's in the end zone because of a decent block all the way on the other side of the field away from where he caught the ball. So, we didn't play well. And quite frankly, I think they beat Atlanta 20-6. So Atlanta got a good defense. Last time we played Atlanta and Raymond James, we barely won. So, and then we split with them last year because we threw the last game. But, I don't think we should have thrown that last game. I think that we sucked, and we should have tried to win every game we could last year. So, I don't know, man. Honestly, I'm worried. I hope we show up, but we don't really have that. We don't really have that team that could go out and score 30 points a game like we had Brady's first year. And no, the crowd was fine. We just weren't successful. We didn't fire the cannons, right? And we didn't make big hits. and we let them catch the balls. And they honestly had a bunch of drops. I mean, they didn't play very well, and so it could have been worse. And
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
there's a lot of blue in that crowd. Very disappointed in some season ticket holders and either being
Let me touch on that real quick. It's nothing to be disappointed about. This week there'll be the same number of empty seats. They'll just be empty seats. They
Well,
won't
you
have
got-
blue jerseys.
it's wrong. You know, it's wrong, and
It
they
is
gotta-
wrong, but it's been that way since the clock numbers. So
Yeah.
when Tony Dungy, there was a season ticket
Yeah, I
winning
know.
list.
I understand it's been like that forever, but it's wrong, and they got to implement.
It's not really
rules, man.
forever though. It's not really forever. It's really since like 2014.
They got to get.
Let me touch on that too, Stunner. As a former, let me add to that. As a former season ticket holder, and as a Tampa Bay sports fan of all three teams, it's always been like this, and I've accepted it. It always is going to be like this.
Not for the.
I'm not saying it's not
anymore.
No, it is for the Lightning too. I mean, I was talking about this. I mean, when we play Toronto, we play Boston. There's
It's
tons
still
of them.
a lot more. There's a lot of their fans, but it ain't as close as Pepperidge is that. I mean, I've been to Lightning games where you played the Islanders, those New York teams, those Northern teams, Carolina.
Rangers fans are terrible. Oh, Carolina's got none. Yeah, the
I'm
Rangers
saying,
fans
yeah,
are terrible.
Them South teams ain't going to travel. It's always the up north teams
Yeah.
that want to do their vacation in Florida.
Islanders are north. Islanders are New York.
Yes, correct. The up north teams, either they're from the Northeast or the Midwest, they're always going to try to outnumber us
saying, when
because
you go to
all
a
those
Lightning
people
game-
move here anyway.
When
What
you go
happens
to a-
is-
Right, they move here.
when you go
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
Lightning game, you do see away fans, but it's not nearly as bad. And a lot of that falls on the season ticket holder at day's end, point blank period. You don't have that problem with other fan bases and season ticket holders.
The
You have that
Lightning,
problem with
the
Bucs
Lightning,
season ticket holders, and you got to change. You got to change the rules. Then you got to get real Bucs fans. to get their
and you're not
hands
going
on
to change the rules.
Yeah.
it. They did,
The Lightning,
they did for Brady. They had different
Coach,
rules the past 2
I mean,
years.
T, let me talk. So, the Lightning have a real strong bandwagon. Okay, I can roll down the street. I'll see somebody with a Bo Sox, New England Patriots, and a Lightning. So the Lightning win. The Lightning win consistently. The Lightning win every year. So they have a real strong bandwagon. The Bucs have never had that kind of sustained success, and so we have a real weak bandwagon. The only times that we've ever been able to outnumber the up north teams is during the Brady era and during the Super Bowl era. Okay, the end of Dungy and the
Right.
beginning of Gruden. When
But why
Gruden
are
started
the
losing,
Lions-
we
Why are the Lions traveling that good if they've never had success? Why is their
Well,
home
they're good now.
stadium never as such?
because they already live here and the up north people move here. They refuse to give up. Why'd the Bears travel well when we played the Bears a couple weeks ago? Honestly, there was the Bears fans weren't quite as many as the Lions, but the Bears also ain't winning. But there was plenty of Bears fans up in that stadium. Trust me when I tell you.
That's what I'm
So-
saying.
Yeah,
It's unexcusable that we got these bad
And
teams.
it's our culture, though. The only way we're going to change it is we have to win. We have to. I mean, you said it in the tweet. You have to make them boys sit on their hands the whole game. You have to go out there and take their heart out, even though it's a home game. And the problem is, it's hard for our team because they expect to have a home field advantage, and we just don't have one.
Right.
Okay, we had about it briefly during the Dungy era, in the beginning of the Gruden era, and during Brady bandwagon era. That's really the extent of it. Other than that, if you go to the stadium, like if you during the clock number era, if we're playing like a Southern team or a team from out west, maybe. I mean, sometimes those teams will travel, but mostly, if they're losing, like the Cardinals or somebody who plays something like that, you have about 40,000 really loyal fans that show up every week, and Bug Nasty and those guys paint the face and everything else, and they'll see 40,000 fans in the lower upper deck and scattered throughout the lower bowl, and you'll see a bunch of empty seats. And all that happened this week is they had filled up them empty seats with the blue jerseys. Now they did sell. Now our two end zones did have quite a few blue jerseys, and that's usually where you see our loyal fans. But we really only have about 40,000 real loyal fans that show up every game.
Yeah,
Right.
and
I agree with that.
something has.
I want to add. Let me add.
Something
Sorry, let
has
me
to
add.
change
Let me add to
real
this.
quick.
So-
Real quick. Something has to change because The Lightning are
No.
able to build a sustained fan base. Tampa was always mocked at to be a quote-unquote hockey town. Lightning made Amalie Arena bigger than hockey. You go into a Lightning game, you feel like you're at a presentation. They do a hell of a job to put on a show. They have great entertainment there. They have a great stadium. All of that plays factors in it. The surrounding of the stadium as well. Ray J, it's not in a good location, really. You know, they could do a lot of things different. They could put a lot more money in. They could change some rules. I know what you're saying. We have 40,000 quote unquote loyal fans, but the Lightning fans, you know, they don't just grow on trees. You got to develop those fans. You got to get more people into the game.
They do grow on trees. You have to understand that the sellout Amalie Arena is only like 28,000.
Yes, but how many
Lightning
games
has
is
sustained
it?
success.
How many more games is it?
The people that go to hockey got more money too. Those are the rich people that can afford to do that shit.
Well,
Plus, they're bandwagoners.
Bucs tickets are cheap. We're not talking about you needing to go to a Eagles Bucs game. I'm talking about
Bucks tickets are definitely cheap. They used to be able to get $50 a ticket up in the upper bowl, and I sat in section 340 for years. There's not a bad seat up there. So yes, but if you're a real fan and you really want to go and you really want to be there and you really want to support your fan, you'll be there. But unfortunately, the people that live in this area are wearing Dolphins shit and crap because because they're a bunch of bandwagoners and we have no loyalty because why? People are only loyal to winners. Look at the Steelers.
Yeah.
Steelers is trash, but they still got loyal fans because they're used to winning.
Cats, I want to get
Right,
your
they've
opinion
won
on
so
this,
much.
but it doesn't.
So I have to agree.
It doesn't necessarily just take consistent winning, though. Look at the Lions. You look at all their games heading down the stretch. There's other things you could do. There's other things
I've been to Lions. Well, I've been to games against the Lions, and the Lions are not good, and it did not look like that with Lions fans.
No, I'm saying in Lions Stadium. If you go into Lions Stadium, you'll never see that. You'll never see it like the Bucs.
Well, let me correct you. I got to correct you a little bit there, Tones, because I've seen Lions games when they were lousy, and I've seen them playing Green Bay when Green Bay was good, and it was a lot of Packer fans there.
You're talking about a 3-hour drive, a 3-hour drive.
Right. Well, that's correct.
Opponent.
Right. No, you're right. Here's the big difference, though, and this is what I've always said, and it's always, I don't know, it always be true, probably will, is people don't move from Green Bay to Detroit. They don't move from Detroit to Green Bay. They move from Detroit to Tampa, to St. Pete, to Miami, wherever in Florida. They move down here, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's a beautiful place to be. They prefer the winters here. They prefer to live here. The unfortunate part, and it always has been the case, is many of them either never drop their allegiance, or it takes them a long time to do so, or, and this is the most common, there are a lot of season ticket holders, more so for the Bucs, but for the Lightning too, and even, yes, the Rays. Well, what they'll do is they will root for the Bucs. I'm going to tell a brief story here. Let me just tell this. And this encapsulates it a lot. This was about 20 years ago. It was actually Gruden's first year with the Bucs. I remember it so well. Opening day, we were watching the 1:00 games. They were showing them on the big screen, and Green Bay was playing Atlanta. And Green Bay ended up winning the game. We were in the NFC South for the first year, and I said, "Oh, thank God, the Packers! All the times we lose to them, and all the trouble they give us, and they nearly lost today, but thankfully they won." And the two people behind me had said, "Hey, stop talking like that." And I said, "What do you mean? What's the problem?" Because they're wearing Bucs jerseys, and they pulled their collar down and showed. They were kind of laughing about it. They showed they had Packer jerseys, and I said, "Well, what's the Packer stuff for? You guys are Bucs season ticket holders." I go, "We are Bucs fans, but when they play Green Bay, we're Green Bay fans still." That's not an isolated incident. Trust me, that happens.
Oh, I know.
So
I've heard
often.
it from multiple people. Plus, said the people in front of him are Eagles fans at games, and he was wearing an Eagles jersey. But you're fooling yourself if you think every single seat that's blue, is that type of mentality. I get it. The Northern comes to visit.
Agreed.
A lot of people live in Tampa now, but at the end of the day, there's a multitude of problems. And I don't think the Bucs do themselves any favors in terms of ownership, in terms of stadium, in terms of season ticket holders. It's a whole kahooey to me. I mean, I get it, but Packers make sense to Detroit.
I have the answer to that. Yeah, I mean, it's that I don't have the answer. As far as, what the owners of the Bucs do and what other Southern teams have similar issues, The Glazers, ultimately, it comes down to it's a business, and they want to make money one way or the other. And football, with only how many games are there? 10 home games if you include preseason. They want to make their money, and that does always come down to, well, we want more Bucs fans in the seats.
Yeah,
the sports is always
very
tied to money.
true.
I've learned over the years. It ticks me off. Does it tick me off? It always has. You've seen my Twitter rants on this over the years. It always, usually it starts with the Rays, but it's true for the Bucs as well. And I've always done it, and then nowadays I just kind of mellowed out about it.
Let's be real though.
I don't
Let's
like it,
be real,
but
though. The Rays did it to themselves. Okay, if they would have just lost some money and kept that World Series team together, they would have been able to sustain a fan base.
I don't know.
That would have helped. Yeah, that could have helped too.
I feel like them spending money is definitely a problem, but at the end of the day, the Rays are in a whole conundrum. I feel like, their owner isn't doing much to help out the burden at the end of the day either. Yeah. But, at the end of the day, it's a clear conundrum. Tampa sports, they're just not going to get the proper fans in the stands that they should outside of the Lightning. And even as Katz alluded to, Lightning games, yes, they're a little worse, although they're still not nearly as bad. But, whatever the case is, Tampa's going to be a destination where people come. However, you don't get that with other teams, right? Like, Dallas, warm weather
some of them.
spot. Some of them, yeah, but, you could predict.
Los Angeles?
Well,
LA.
You could predict that, right? You could predict LA because that's on the NFL. You don't
LA,
move two teams.
Yeah.
You don't move two teams to one city within a season of each other. You're not going to grow a fan base there. And what do? They
the
move
Jets and the Giants are in the same situation.
Yeah, well, yeah, except no one wants to vacation to New York. But at the end of the day,
well, nobody lives there. Sorry, not nobody lives there. People don't move there like they move here. It's the other way around. Miami has the issue too, with all their teams. Jacksonville, San Diego had it before the Chargers left. It's just, it's just basically, to me, it's not a matter of just traveling here and visiting. It's a matter of living here. And transplants come here. They don't transplant to the north as much. It's not a knock on the north, but that's just this is where people live. And unless it ever, so when you get a generation here, let's say they are from here or they move here, and then the kids become fans of the Bucs because they grow up and they go to school here. The Bucs do work in the community. They come to their classrooms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They become Bucs fans, and then maybe their kids will become Bucs fans, and that does happen. Unfortunately, what kind of cancels that out is for every time that happens, someone else moves here from Chicago, New York, wherever, Philadelphia. They're not Bucs fans. They're not saying, all right, I'm in Tampa now, I'm a Bucs fan. No, they're not. And their kids, if they've already got kids, they're Eagle fans already. And it's been this way for so long, and I just I just shrug my shoulders at this point. I wish it weren't, but it sucks. It kind of is what it is, unfortunately. I wish they could try other things and see what happens, but I don't think they're going to do that at this point.
Guess what, guys?
Well, I was going to say, Hunch, speaking of shrug, we got a question about the run game. What are your thoughts? I see you commenting about Rojo in the chat. What are your thoughts on the run game, Hunch? Why don't you think it's working exactly? Do you blame the runners more? Do you blame the O-line? Do you blame the scheme? Or do you blame Light for kind of making the running back room a little light? No pun intended.
Woo. I think you said above. Is that A, B, C, D? And I'm gonna go with D, above all the above, because that everything you said literally is the problem. Like, okay, I get it. Rashard White, we got on it. He had a good Seahawks game. Yeah, I get it. But let's be honest. Let's be real. Is he number one running back for real? For us, he's elite. Like, is he a difference maker? I don't see it yet. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen enough of it yet. I think he's right now how he's been playing. He's a number 2. Keyshawn Vaughn is a number 4, 3 and 4. So this is what you got. Edmonds, we seen him and then he got hurt. So, but he looked like he probably had the most promise in this offense for that little short time that I seen him. And I think the blocking scheme is gonna, like Dave Canada said, it's gonna take a while, but just looking at it, it's just horrible. And And I'm tired of seeing the tight end Cade Otton cannot block like he sucks at run blocking, bro. And if you go and watch his film, like he caused some mess ups in the field where, like, if you just block the guy, you have a break, but he's not a good blocker, and that's where it's a mist of a lot of stuff, man. It's a lot of stuff. Like
you need like a Keith Caden tight end combo.
Fullback, yeah, like a little lead or something to switch it up or something, man. Because just I understand we're gonna stick to it like Dave Canales, but don't be too full of yourself or you're not able to, like the Lions guys, like when their coach realized they couldn't run the ball on us, he immediately started throwing and he didn't go back to the run. He seen what worked and kept going. In our mind, and what we did was we're going to still run. We're still going to try it on first down. We're going to try it on second down. We're going to do it on third. Like, you got to find what works for you in that moment. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to try to get these pennies, or you're going to try to get the dollars. Like, just shit. Like, go ahead and get what you can get on that drive and stop being stubborn. Sometimes you got to know when to check out of it. If you know you got some plays that you can run that maybe get a first down, like it was blowing me because on 3rd and 1, I'm like, okay, 3rd and 1, you'll throw the ball. I didn't get that. But on 1st and 10, you're going to run the ball. Like, I don't get it. It's just like, I don't get it. And then it just,
yeah, it's really frustrating. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, but you know, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna turn the page. We're not gonna keep downing on the last week like all the other podcasts.
I just really wanted to say something about Kalijah Cansey. I just really wanted to say something about
the kid stepped up, and we were all right. Let's get into Cansey now. I want to get into these questions first because we're a pod of the people, and then we'll get into Cansey talk. So we're gonna do around the horn here. We got so many questions, so many comments. We got to get to all these because we're a pod of the people, ladies and gentlemen. We're not like other podcasts that just fluff over the audience. So, Katz, we're going to start with you and work our way around the horn here before we get into the Cansey talk. J-Lo, I think 10-7 to 9-8 still. Katz, you think he's dead on, or do you see something else?
I think he's dead on. That's where I think the Bucs will fall into that. And I think either of those, barring something weird in divisional head-to-head play, will be enough to win the NFC South. And that would be how many years in a row? That would be our 3rd straight year winning the division. That hasn't happened in our history. The Bucs have never won the division 3 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Stunner can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm 99.999% sure I'm correct.
Never run back-to-back, so of course not.
Oh, that's right. We never have one, but you're right. Oh, how depressing. You're right. We never even have one back to... No, we did. The last 2 years we won the division. So that's back-to-back.
Right. Correct. That was the record.
That was the record.
Right.
And
that's
now
right. That's right. So we've won 3. Let's do it. Yeah, we're going to... And I believe we will. Yes.
Stunna, Edmonds coming back in a couple weeks, I believe. Do you think Chase Edmonds would be enough to help the run game, or do you think we would have to do more, Stunna?
I think our run game's screwed up. And I don't think there's no fixing it. We're just going to have to do like when we won the Super Bowl and show that we kind of can run the ball and then maybe, get a hard game like out of Pittman once in a while. If you remember, Pittman used to run up everyone's backs. He didn't have a lot of vision. So, man, we just we don't have a good running back, and our O-line is decent. But, we're not doing like the Niners. And the Niners got their O-line fixed, and then they grab the back, and that's what we need to do.
Huncho, any other running back would be awesome at this point. I don't know if you were kidding or not bringing Rojo, but Huncho, who would be the top back that's realistic to bring in? Not saying a McCaffrey, not saying a Kenneth Walker, those type of cats, but if you could pick one running back, Huncho, that might be available out there, who would you go for?
I heard something about Penny. I didn't heard something about Penny. I don't know if he's a free agent or you got to bring him, like you got to trade for him or what. But
we would have to trade for him. But
the Colts running back is a holdout.
He's playing now.
No, he's starting.
He signed a 3-year.
He didn't got paid.
He got paid some big money, but yeah, I don't know. The thing that I don't like about Rashad Penny is we'd have to give up a draft pick. And to me, if the Eagles ain't using you, there's probably something a little wrong with you, right? You know, they do love using their run game. So to me, if he ain't good enough in Philly, I'd be a little.
But didn't Penny
skeptical.
play? Didn't Penny play under Dave Canales scheme?
He did,
Yeah.
but you know, I just look at an offense like Philadelphia, and it concerns me a little bit that a guy like Gainwell is getting reps over him. But you're right, he did play with Canales' scheme, so I guess in terms of familiarity, that'd be a good thing. But
Something gotta give. I don't give a damn. You could try something.
yeah, I would you know, try trading or signing. Honestly, man, like at this point, whoever, just bring in a body, see what they could do.
Yeah.
And you know, really have him go out.
Yeah,
and
Leonard
compete.
Fournette.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Lenny F. I know it's unrealistic at this
I wouldn't
point,
either.
but I think Lenny F would probably be the best option to bring back because you wouldn't have to trade anything. He's familiar with the team. He would have to learn a little bit of a new system, but if Lenny F would come back for a cheap deal, probably unrealistic, but I think it would be the best option at the end of the day.
Yeah, how Todd Bowles when they asked Todd Bowles that question Monday, Todd Bowles looked like that's nowhere close to the plans to bring him or Rojo back. So
Well, I think those are two more realistic options than trading for running back. This team isn't gonna, you know, we always talk about shopping at the dollar store. I think the last thing they would do is trade a draft pick for a guy that's barely playing in Philadelphia, quite frankly. Jacko says Tampa is a transit city. That's why, yep. Killer with the Rojo comment. Real talk, Ritter playing is a huge plus, but I think they'd be better with Heineke. Kat's your turn. You think
Yeah,
better
I
off with Heineke?
agree. I mean, I don't want. I want to be careful here and not disparage the opponent, but I agree. Heineke has been tough on the Bucs every time we've seen him. And if they lose this game and drop to 3-4, and Ritter does not play well, and I know he's played okay at best, maybe so far. I think more of their success has been their ability defensively. They've come up with some big plays, but yeah, I don't want to face Taylor Heineke. He has been a pest for the Bucs and a lot of teams over the years. So I agree with that 100%.
And J. Lowe, Stunna, Stu Sternberg is a bum. That's a Rays owner. Do you agree with that, Stunna? You're a Tampa guy.
Yeah, Sternberg is trash, bro. We definitely need a new owner, and the Rays screwed up because they could have built a stadium at the fairgrounds, and Seminole Bingo would have paid for it. So yeah, man, they're doing all kind of stuff wrong, but you know, it's a Bucs life. Let's see what we can do with this season.
shit.
That one hurt.
Bucs life.
That one hurt. We have to build the fan base. Huncho,
Yeah.
what can we maybe do to help build that? That's my main point is like we're not, you know, retaining our fans.
Bad to say it, but I gotta roll with Stun of them. Like you gotta win. Like that's what it is. Like you gotta win because if you win, even those people that's
We just came off 3 winning seasons, man. I mean,
but I'm saying consistent, like longevity wins. Like they knew we only
no one wins that long though. Let's be real.
But when I say not being a great winner, but be competitive to the point you gotta understand we suck. Like we were bad. We have to be good for a while, like consistently, at least in the playoff, win the divisions and stuff like that. So some of the people that move down here that are other fans probably will trade in their jerseys and, you know, wear some Bucs gear because we're doing good like they did with Brady when he was here. I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is because even I know a lot of people, I've been staying here down my whole life. So I know even people that's not even football fans just don't like the Bucs. Just like it's just that's what it is. They're not rooting for the Bucs because they just don't even watch the game. They're just like, oh, the Bucs, sorry. That's what it is. They don't even know. And that's just their mindset because they're used to us not doing stuff. And they's like, when we start doing something, oh, we just did this because we had Tom Brady. And they knew that. So it's gonna be until we can get a franchise quarterback for real and look at least like a solid team, like how the Steelers looked at a solid team like that. I don't see like it's gonna be like that. They're gonna flood the stadiums and people are gonna sell their tickets because they don't believe in the Bucs.
Yeah, and I just again I find before I get to the cheap contracts, running back talk. You know, I the winning thing, the sustained winning is just a hard one to sell because you have all these losing franchises that don't really have that problem, right? So I could get behind the whole winning consistently thing but I can't because you have the Browns who never win. You had the Bengals who were terrible forever. Both of those teams don't really have problems. You have Detroit who's never good. They don't really have these problems. So again,
The Bengals did have problems.
not really. For a 2-year stretch, they did right before Burrow, but it was a short-lived 2 years. They never had problems.
You remember we were blacked out at a point in time. Come on, like, is that bad? Y'all remember when we had those blackouts? We were that bad.
Yeah, I used to have to drive to Venice to watch the games.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
listen on radio.
You know, a lot of things being said. You know, I just see other franchises who don't consistently win not having nearly these problems. And yeah, you can say Cincy for 2 years or this for this, but it's been a lot longer than that. And we did just have our best years stretch.
Support their teams. Some cities just support their teams better.
We're just not a football town. It's seeming like it.
Yeah, but you know, it's just like baseball, man. Up north, baseball's a big deal. Around here, you play baseball year round. Cleveland, Ohio. What else you gonna do?
Right.
I mean, you know, what does that mean though? Because
they got
the Cavaliers. I taught to some Baltimore fans one time. They told me it was cheaper to come to the Buccaneers game, get tickets, get a hotel room and a flight than it is to attend the Baltimore Ravens game right there in their backyard.
That's a little hard to believe since I know the traveling of, I think I'm in a similar spot in Chicago, but I hear what you're saying, but I just don't think, whatever. We're not a football town. It's a sad thing to say. I think we got to live with that, and it is what it is. I really don't.
Yeah, we definitely not a football team. Like you'll see Bucs flag, you'll see it. I think it's some closet fans, like they want to, but I feel like they just feel like they don't have no faith in the Bucs, so they're not going to support them. Like they like, nah, I'm not gonna get all in it. It's people that's probably been hardcore Bucs fans, but got let down and so hard that they just. Man, that shit'll make you just want to drive off the bridge sometimes, man. Especially if you've been drinking at a game and you done spent all this money to go to a game every week, and then your team loses and you got to drop. Man, that's hurtful. How many times you can take that? Especially if you got to go. I mean, some people can take it, but just imagine you got to go through losing years after losing years, and some people can't take it, man, and they jump ship.
Jets fans can take it.
Cubs fans could take it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. The Cubs were known as the lovable losers. Cubs are known as the lovable losers, and we sold out forever. It didn't matter. And we're Stunna quoted northern cities or football cities. Well, it doesn't matter to Cubs fans. They're in Wrigley Field, whether it's 10 degrees out.
Yeah, but it ain't really 10 degrees in the summer. Whether
we have a 50% winning percentage, 90%. Some fan bases are just built different. The Cubs, just that for whatever reason are a superior fan base, and
nothing to do with Chicago.
J-Lo, trust me, I'm. Chicago is a little to be desired in terms of actual city, but being a season ticket holder in 14 season was depressing. Yeah.
Oh, why?
That was a tank season, and
oh, gosh,
I don't think a team should ever tank. Like you're seeing teams try and tank for Caleb Williams, and I don't think tanking's the right thing to do because look at the Bucs this past year, right? We didn't play great football, and
that 14 season we should have beat the Cincinnati Bengals, but they said we had too many people on the field after we were first down.
But we still, this season, even without tanking, we still ran into a guy like Kalijah Kancey, right? And the Colts, they didn't necessarily, quote-unquote, tank last year. Obviously, the Texans tanked, and they were trying to get that first pick until Lovey found out he was getting fired. Then he's like, we're beating the Colts this last game, these son of a bitches. You're not sending me out on this note. And then Carolina, they didn't tank. They just overpaid to get that top spot. But Bucs didn't tank, and we got a guy like Kalijah Kancey. So, I think I'd rather let the draft fall out as it plays. And, yeah, that 14 season was depressing. But Kancey isn't depressing. Huncho, we're on the Kancey train now finally. And to me, I know, don't get me wrong. We had people saying last year, though, even with Tom Brady, they think the Bucs should lose to get a better draft pick, this and that. Here we are. We got a very promising-looking kid in Kalijah Kancey with a late first-round pick. I like the kid a lot. Hunch? Maybe we lost Hunch there. Cats, what's your opinion on Elijah Cansey?
What happened?
We'll get back to you. We'll let you regroup. Cats, what's your opinion on Elijah Cansey? He's been playing incredible.
I've loved what I've seen. It's unfortunate that he had to miss a few games, but when he's played, he's looked absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I mean, when you get to, as far as the whole tanking thing, it's like when you get past the first couple picks, or maybe even the first 10, at that point, to me, it's all relative. So unless there happens to be a generational player, or mainly a generational quarterback, or a couple of them, unless you're picking at the very top, which means you're winning about 2 games, there's no purpose in that. So that's why, people who say that stuff, it's like, look, you have a chance to win your division and anything's possible. Give me the latter, not the former.
Huncho, Cansey thoughts? We're talking about how good he's been, solid and limited action, obviously only about a game and a quarter now.
Oh, man.
The Cansey man can. That's what I like to call it. It ain't the Candy Man can. It's the Cansey man can. What can't this kid do?
Man, did you see how he did Penny Swill or whatever his name is? Penny Swill?
And you know what, Hunch? No one's ever done Penny like that before in his short career.
Man, this kid was getting active. I don't kind of get the rotation, how they doing it now. Because I don't understand. I just seen a lot of plays Shaq when I know he was kind of sick or whatever, but I think
that's a great point. On critical downs, it seems like
what's going on?
Putting in the B team. Again, no offense, I'm not calling Mike Green and those guys not good players, but
they're not there. Not
on third
our
and long.
Offense was grinding our defense up, though, guys.
Yeah, but no, I mean, and Huncho's right though with the rotation. When you have those third and longs, you should have your pass rushers in that could pin their airs back and just go get them.
And it's not like it's just like a guy or 2 guys. It's like a whole new line, and then probably one can't see it. Like, it's crazy. I don't get Todd Bowles' new theory on that. I mean, but Cansey is going to be phenomenal. I believe that was just his first game, and he was going against one of the top offensive lines in the game. So just imagine when he can really eat. I just wish I would have seen him a lot more next to Vita Vea, because it seems like he wasn't. I don't know if I'm tripping, but it seems like I just seen Logan Hall next to him a lot instead of Vita Vea.
Yeah, Vita Vea barely played that game, honestly.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get it. What's going on? How they rotating it? But I feel like he's strong. He's fast. So I think the more he plays, the better he's going to be. But I can start to see that if he continues this, that Aaron Donald kind of effect. And I'm just hoping that's what he can be. And I know that's a big the carry, but I can see him if he continues to do that, because Penny Swill is no pushover. How he did him was just dirty, and he can get small and he can get big. He's very fast off the ball. So we're going to see.
I just want to say something quick, though. Let me jump in here if I may. Vita Vea's snap, he played his typical game, guys. That's how many snaps Vita usually plays. He wasn't just in on the big downs, but as far as how often Vita played, he played exactly how often he normally does. And
damn, it didn't feel like it. Looked like I seen less. I was looking for him like, why is he not next to Cansey?
That was
our time of possession was nothing. So he played the same reps, but our defense was on the field twice as long.
Exactly. In week 1, just to give you guys a rundown, week 1 he played 59% of the snaps, week 2 64, week 3 54, 2 weeks ago 68, then this past week 63. So, he's in between the 59 to 68 range every game just about now, but I think Hunch made a good point where it's the critical downs, and we didn't really see him on those critical downs, but Stunna makes a good counterpoint. They ground out our defense, so they would get tired at certain point in times. But briefly, because we're already at an hour and 10, we're going to be on here a little longer, and I want to talk about the Falcons matchup a little bit. I want to get the key to the game for everybody. We're going to save our score predictions for Friday morning show. We have a rare show Friday morning, and whether you guys could make it or not, I'm going to get your score predictions and MVPs of the game for that show, and I'll relay them then. But I just want to hear what we think our keys to the game are for a Falcons game where Kat said earlier, must win. I'm saying it now. Biggest game of the year, no doubt to this point. This is no doubt the biggest game of the year, because you lose this one, then you're down to 500. And then you don't have the leverage of being in first anymore. And by the way, then you're off to Buffalo. Thank God we play them on a Thursday, right? Because anything could happen on a Thursday. I'd much rather play Buffalo on a Thursday than a Sunday, but still not good that they're right after this. So to me, this is a must win. Katz, we'll start with you here. Key to the game for the Falcons this Sunday. What's your Bucs key on how we could secure a victory and keep our first place standing?
Stopping the run is key in this because they don't have the type of passing offense that the Lions have. You shut the Lions run game down, their passing game can hurt you. Atlanta is not the same thing. So that's my biggest key this game.
Huncho, would you agree with that? And I think Katz makes a great point, and it made me laugh a little bit today because I heard the Falcons say they got to get their run game going, and I was just thinking to myself, if you guys need to get your run game going, what the hell does that mean the Bucs need to do, right? Because the Falcons have been running pretty effectively. I think the Falcons' problems is they just have a little too many cooks in the kitchen for – to get guys in rhythm, right? You have Desmond Ridder who runs the ball. You have Bijan who's going to require a lot of carries. And you have a 1,000-yard rusher from last year, Tyler Algier. And then you got Cordero Patterson too. Sometimes when you got 4 mouths to feed, it's hard to get someone in rhythm. I get fresh legs are a benefit as well. But, I love your key to the game, Cats. They got a fierce running game. And I really hope that we don't let any one of their guys get into rhythm. That could be a big thing to watch out for Sunday. Hunch, are you kind of having the same key to the game, or do you see
that was my same key for the Lions also? That was the same key that I had for them. And then they killed us down the field. So I mean, I want to stop the run because I don't want to get Bijan, but I want us to the keys to the game is pretty much you have to connect. I want the whole team to go out there.
You want execution.
Execution. That's my word right there. That's the keys to the game. Execution on every level from every player. Communication, execution has to be there. And don't come out sluggish. Yeah, I get it, the bye week. Baker wanted to hang out and do all that, but now it looks bad when you go out there and play like that. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta go out there with some fire in your gut. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a great point, Hunch. We definitely have to dot our I's and cross our T's. We're doing a lot of good things. We're when you're writing a letter, we're making the body of the I, we're making the body of the T, but then we're just not dotting the I or crossing the T. The Bucs are taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And I agree to a certain extent as well, Hunch, that it's great that Baker wanted to do all those things. And again, I love Baker. I'm still glad he's here and the quarterback here. But at the end of the day, if you're going to go ahead and put yourself in the limelight, you got to play like a guy who's in the limelight. And we just didn't see that this past week. Stun, what's your keys to the game, brother? And are you going to be there as a season ticket holder? Are you guys going to move on?
Yeah, we're gonna be there. I plan on being there. Man, keys to the game, score points. Fire the cannons. That's number 1. We got to do something about scoring points. Play good defense, and don't lose the momentum. Those are my keys.
And I will say this as well, as I alluded to earlier, saying season ticket holders are part of the problem. Well, not the good ones, right? And I can't blame a season ticket holder for selling 1 game a year or 2 games a year and getting your money back. I'm more so talking about the cats that, go to half the games, sell half the games. But all in all, my key to the game is get the momentum going inside of Ray J and don't give it back. I think this is going to be a game where we could outnumber them heavily in fans based on hotel and ticket prices. I don't think Atlanta's presenting much of a travel threat. I don't think they're going to caravan down here by any means. I think this is a game where the Bucs could actually take advantage of home field advantage, one of the rare games where we could, and I think we're going to have to do that. When it's 3rd down, take advantage of the stadium getting behind you. When we have the ball on offense, quiet at work. Everybody shush a little bit. It's harder against Detroit. It's harder against Philly because, you got 30, 40, 50% of the stands filled with a away team. It's going to feel like, especially when those teams start winning, right? When the Eagles and Lions start rolling, those fans are going to get louder and louder. The Falcons silence their fans right away and give the Bucs a thing to cheer about. Take the momentum and never give it back. Get the home crowd into it and never let them die out, right? I mean, that's how I felt, when I went to the game last year. 2 years ago against Miami at home. We rode the wave and we never gave it back. I'm hoping for the same tomorrow. And really against the Saints last year on Monday Night Football as well, we never really had the momentum. So we were never really able to jump on that opportunity, although we ended up coming back and winning that game. The Bucs just seemed doom and gloom all game, and until the final 2 minutes, we didn't wake up. A big part of that is momentum. We need to get momentum. If we get the ball first, we got to score first. And I'm not talking 3, I'm talking 7. If we're on defense first, I want a big play out there. I want something to energize this crowd. I want to get up early in the first or second quarter, and I never really want to look back, guys. So that's my key to the game is we're tuned into the Buccateers here for about an hour and over 15 minutes now. So we're going to get into the section of our one big things or walk-offs and then our final word. But it's always a great talk, great time talking Bucs football. And I love this crew. We got Katz, who's very knowledgeable about Tampa sports. We got Stunna, who's a lifelong season ticket holder, so he knows the ins and outs about the stadium. And we got Hunch, who just knows the game through thick and thin, studies film, and just because we get into some disagreements, it's good stuff. It's really bringing out the best in the pod, and that's what great Bucs fans and great Bucs minds do. Nothing comes easy here. And speaking of nothing coming easy, the one big thing or walk-offs don't come easy either. Hunch, we'll start with you here. One big thing in walk-off heading into Sunday's contest against the Falcons, which me and you will be at, Stunna will be at, and even maybe Katz, it sounds like, will be at.
One big thing, come out with energy, man. Energy. That's the big thing. We need to come out with energy.
And I think that lopes into my momentum, right? If we come out with energy, we're going to get the momentum, and we ain't letting that shit back.
Right.
That's for damn sure. I love it. Stunna, one big thing for Sunday's contest. Huncho saying energy. What say you?
It's great to be a Bucs fan. Bucs Nation, raise up. I'm proud of my fan base. I don't care what other people think. And my walk-off is let's get a victory. Let's keep a winning season going, and let's give big up to our haters and throw salt on our enemies. Go Bucs.
I agree, and I'm proud with most of our fan base, but some Twitter heads make it a little hard to be proud of them. I'll tell you what, some of these guys who are already jumping ship, there ain't nothing to be proud of there. But I do agree with you for the most part, Stunna. We do got some good gritty fans, some diehards, but man, the younger generation is doing their best to screw that up. But what else is new in life? Katz, what's your one big thing in walk-off, brother?
Yeah, big thing in this, again, going back to execution, is when those opportunities are there, take advantage of them. At least some of them, please. Don't go 0 for 7 in the 6 or 7 big plays that decide a game.
I agree with you there. As Katz alluded earlier, and we cut it out at the beginning of our show, usually 6 key plays to decide a game. You could very easily pick those in the Lions-Bucs game. It was a batted ball by Baker where he had Evans open. It was the Evans drop, the 2 big Trey Palmer drops, then the Jamison Williams outschooling Ryan Neal, and Amon-Ra St. Brown doing that as well as Jacko.
We had 3 batted passes in that game.
Mm-hmm. All a very bad thing. Stunna. You can't get your you can't get your passes batted and miss down the field throws, right? You can, it's like, it's dying by paper cuts at that point. You're going to die a slow, painful death. So, anyways, we do have some Falcons news. The Falcons released former 4th-round safety Jalen Hawkins, who started all 16 games last season. So that's just coming out about 2 minutes ago from Ari Morov. Little surprising there, but the Falcons making a big shakeup this week. Someone who started 16 games with them last year is no longer a part of that team. As he's saying it now in the chat as well, Falcons release Jalen Hawkins. Final word time, fellas. It seems like everyone's running a little dry here. I can't blame y'all. We've been at it for a while now on this Toomey Up Tuesday, and we're going to be at it this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll be in the Bay. We got a little bit of Charlie's playing on Saturday. We got a little bit of Bucs game playing on Sunday. So can't wait to see my Buccateers brother in this weekend. Cats, I hope I could see you. Huncho, last words, brother. Maybe we lost Huncho. Stunna, final words, brother.
Final words is let's have a great game this Sunday. Let's get rowdy, be bowdy, and support your team anywhere you can do it, in the stadium, in the community, at the dang Checkers, getting a hamburger. Support that team. Tell them girls you got a sword for them if they don't like you. Go Bucs.
Yeah, and Stunna, I hope to see you Friday, but if not, I'll definitely see you Saturday at Charlie's. We got a little Charlie's table playing. Cat, for your final word, I'll let you force this one to the final word. Do you feel better about Baker's long-term Bucs career than you did preseason?
Okay, yes, I do. I'll feel a lot better. And my final word is go Bucs. Let's grab hold of the NFC South and not give it back.
I agree with you. I think Baker's, preseason he was battling with Trask, right? And a lot of people in the preseason were Trask. Now at least Baker has 3 wins under his belt, and he's looked promising, although he could make better throws. He could make a little more execution. But at the end of the day, if Mike Evans makes that catch, maybe he's a little more comfortable going to Mike. If the run game's a little better, maybe defenses aren't so prosperous. But speaking of prosperous, this beautiful Luke Godecki helmet, signed mini helmet, winner will be announced on Friday morning's special show. And this thing is beautiful. And the way he's playing right tackle, I'd really love this thing in my collection. I'd really love it on my shelf, but it's not going to be on my shelf much longer. It'll be on one of your lucky listeners' shelves soon. So be sure, my final word is to tune into the Buccateers Friday morning. Time to come. I'm thinking it'll be around, 8:45 Eastern time. It's going to be a short show Friday. Nothing crazy, probably 8:45 to 9:15 Eastern for the Buccateers. And that'll be our pregame show. Is we're not going to have one Sunday, as I'll be at the game with the rest of the fellows. But gentlemen, I'm sorry. Cats, I'm sorry for keeping you so long on a lightning night. Stunna, Huncho, everybody, sorry for keeping all of you gentlemen so long. I've had an honor having these
Get
great
some sleep, gentlemen.
And, you fellas have a great opinion on the season tickets. I agree. Winning could be part of it. I just think Bucs fans, show up. Buy tickets, damn it. I'm coming to 3 games this year, and I live in Chicago.
Hey, I remember when the Green Bay Packers had to play half their games in Milwaukee because they couldn't sell enough tickets. So every team went through this. And I remember when the Cowboys, with Tom Landry in his last years, they couldn't sell tickets. So don't believe the hype. Winning solves everything.
Cowboys haven't won, though. That's a problem. And the Packers haven't been all that great now in a couple years either. So, I hear you. Winning solves everything, but it doesn't for us. We just had our greatest 3-year winning stretch in franchise history, and it changed nothing. So winning obviously doesn't cure all, sadly for some, but I hope you're right. As Jacko says later, y'all, I can't wait to be in the Bay this weekend. Fire the damn cannons. Go Bucs. 3-2-1 touchdown Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield throws it, and Kate Otten comes down with the reception in the red zone. It's Tones Decker off here saying, fire the damn cannons. Bucs win. Bucs beat the Falcons, and they retain atop of the division in the NFC South. On behalf of Tampa Tones, Huncho, Bucko, who couldn't make it, Stunna, and Cats, we'll be in the 813 this weekend, and we'll be at the game Sunday. Let's go Bucs. Fuck the haters. Go Bucs. Fire the damn cannons. It's been a beautiful Tune Me Up Tuesday on the Buccateers. Thanks again, brothers. I'll see you guys this weekend. Hopefully see you guys on the Friday show, but if not, this weekend, fellas. As I just have to hit this button now, and we'll be out of here. See you guys later. game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. I played with Rock and anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Bucs fans were there too. The Bucs.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by Lead Goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little.
No, my camera's broke.